This is the Sweet Baby Cray, my juvenile crayfish pattern, using my creature bodies. This is a size 2 partridge attitude streamer hook, 210 denier flat wax nylon. We're going to lay a thread base about 1/8 of an inch long off the eye of the hook. Small black dumbbell eye, lead eye. This goes on top of the hook shank as this fly rides hook point up in the water. Make sure that's nice and secure. This is 0.03 non-lead wire, 3.5 inches. We're going to lay one row of this down across the top of the hook shank, fold it over, put another run right next to that one along the side, and then we're just going to wind this around the rest of the length. Secure that down with thread, and we're going to flip our hook over, create a little thread bump. These are small black epoxy mono eyes, one on each side of the hook shank with that little thread bump in between them. That helps keep them separate. Make sure they're even, and then we'll just tie down the rest of the little tag there. And again, this is a little bit of Arctic Fox. This is going to be the orange version of the crayfish. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of Arctic Fox in orange, and I'm going to measure this off against the hook shank, and it's going to be just slightly longer than the length of the hook shank. Then we're going to tie down the rest of that, trim off the excess, and just smooth that out. What that does by using that material is it adds a little bit of bulk to the underbody of this fly. Okay, now that that's there, we're going to create a pretty standard dubbing loop. I'm going to advance my thread towards the eye of the hook. I'm just going to put my dubbing twister in there. What we're going to use now is copper colored brassy wire, and I'm just going to secure this to the side of the hook shank directly in front of the wrapped up lead wire. We're using Cohen's carp dub. This is the Crazy Orange. I'm just going to fill that dubbing loop up with it. Alright, we'll twist that up. Just use our little loon dubbing brush here and brush this all out. And now we're going to wrap this up. I'm going to make it a little bit thicker in the front of the fly than the back of the fly. So if you saw there, I kind of overlapped my dubbing a little bit. And I'm just going to bring this right to the back, and we'll tie that off. Make sure we got a pretty good base there. I'm going to take my dubbing brush again, and I'm just going to brush all this stuff down. I'll flip this over and brush all this dubbing forward. Really kind of rough it up good. Any little rubber legs that you see that are caught, you want to kind of pick them out if you can. And now what I'm going to do is take my small crayfish body. I dyed this one already. I dye all my materials using a product called Dynaflow. It's a silk dye. It's a liquid dye. What I'm going to do is just poke a little hole right behind the antenna. We're going to get this back in the vise here. And now starting Behind those last set of legs, I'm going to use my wire and I'm going to rib this down to the dubbed body. On our last one, we're going to go underneath the dumbbell eyes, and we'll give that tail a little tug just to make sure it's nice and snug, and then we'll tie that down. And then we're just going to tie our wire in. Helicopter that off, and we'll whip finish. I'm going to give this dubbing a good rough up once again. And we'll brush it forward. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a trim, leaving most of the bulk up towards the claws, and we'll trim back towards the tail section of the fly. And you can kind of taper this how you see fit, but I like to try to make it have somewhat of a realistic silhouette. And that looks pretty good. That is the Sweet Baby Cray. Thanks for watching.